objectives also is to have more cooperation coming from our citizens where we can get their support, especially for those refusing quarantine. With this state of public health emergency, we'll be able to put more authority into our officials, into having people do mandatory quarantine.
While we're busy dealing with this emergency, the Secretary has directed, Secretary Briones has directed setting up a futures thinking unit in the Department of Education.
Yung opening ng classes, that's a very... I will not allow the opening of classes na dikit-dikit yung mga bata. Unless I am sure that they are really safe. It's useless to be talking about opening of classes. That's what I meant.
But we are saying that there will be no face-to-face classes and sessions until we are assured of the safety of our children and our teachers. However, we also believe, Mr. President, that we can provide learning opportunities to our students without necessarily requiring them to go to school. And this we can do through what is described as blended and distant learning. Mr. President, this is not a new thing. We have many universities and schools which offer distant learning in many ways. We now call it blended learning because various approaches which are adjusted to the actual situation of the communities will be applied. But these are all, Mr. President, consistent with your preference that we should not be physically sending our children to school until it is safe to do so.
I believe we have a very workable program, and I support you. And should you require any help from any of the departments, feel free to communicate with them. With a question of funding, I will so to speak, scrape the bottom of the barrel. Just to, well, kung wala na tayong pera, edukaran lang sa edukasyon sa mga bata. We will have to forgo many things along the way because of what happened. But education, I think, if it is compromised, it should be negligible, so that it should go on, because the future of this country depends on how we educate our young people nowadays.
Bubuksan na ang klase sa mga pampubliko at pribadong paaralan sa buong bansa sa August 24, pero may mga kondisyon.
Today is the registration for many schools already in areas under GCQ.
The first 2 weeks would be for enrollees who have access to internet or mobile phones, because the enrollment for the initial phase will be remote. We will not expect enrollees and parents to be in school today. We also have instructed the class advisors of the previous learners to actually notify the parents and do the enrollment themselves on behalf of the parents for the next grade, because unless they are going to transfer to other schools, just the time perhaps they can contact the school through online, or if they don't have access to, again, these technology gadgets, they have to go to schools after the 2 weeks. So it's June 15 when people who really need to be in school to do special arrangements on certain things will be accommodated. So,
Okay.
Marami pong mga haka-haka at mga kuro-kuro ang ating naririnig mula sa iba't ibang sektor. Pero tayo po sa Department of Education ay magbibigay ng mga impormasyon mula sa ating liderato, at para masigit na maintindihan higit sa lahat ng ating mga magulang, ng ating mga mag-aaral, ng ating mga kaguruan, at lahat-lahat po ng mga stakeholders ng edukasyon, upang sa gayon ay makapagtulungan po tayo para sa ikagaganda ng bukas ng ating mga estudyante, ng ating mga mag-aaral, kahit po tayo ay nakakaranas ngayon ng hindi makitang sakit na COVID-19 na kung saan ay nagpatigil sa kung anumang normal na ginagawa natin sa mga unang panahon. Tayo po mga Pilipino ay kilala sa pagiging resilient, sa pagbaka po natin sa iba't ibang mga pagsubok, bagyo man, lindol, baha, o ano pa mang nangyayari. Kaya sa pagkakataong ito, alam po natin, nakakayanin po natin ito, basta tayo po ay natutulungan.
Turning our visions into realities.